All right, confession time.
Mm-hmm.
Who hasn't wished they could send a message into someone else's dream?
Oh, absolutely.
Or, like, wonder what it would be like to have a whole conversation while asleep.
Right.
Well, this isn't sci-fi anymore, is it?
It's really not, no. What's fascinating about this is this research. It taps into something that humans have been, fascinated by for centuries, right? This idea of dreams and can we interact with them? Can we consciously interact within them?
Can we control them?
Can we control them? Exactly.
Yeah.
And this research is suggesting that maybe we can.
And this isn't just like one research paper with, iffy results, right? We've got multiple examples of this happening.
Exactly.
And they're saying that these are repeatable results.
Yeah, and it seems like it goes even further, that they were able to do this on different dates with different people.
Right, so it's not a fluke.
It really suggests that there's something, something repeatable here.
Yeah.
Not just a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, so what do they actually do?
Yeah.
Because these articles mention a word being sent into someone's dream.
Right.
Is this like a telepathic beam or something?
Clear's throat. Not quite telepathy. Not yet, anyway. Right. But imagine this. They're tracking brainwaves in real time while people sleep, focusing on the REM stage where dreams are most vivid. And on top of that, they've also developed a dream language.
A dream language?
They call it REMio. And they can detect this through, believe it or not, tiny muscle movements in the face.
Hold up. So you're telling me they can tell what sound you're making in your dream?
Oh.
Just by your face moving?
It's less about the sound itself. It's more about the intention to make a specific sound, even if it's silent in the waking world.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's a key part of how they're sending and receiving these messages.
Wow. Okay, so walk me through this experiment then.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty wild.
Sure. So you have someone who is in a lucid dream, meaning they know they're dreaming, and at that point, the server sends them a REMio word through earbuds.
Okay.
The dreamer then repeats it.
In the dream.
In the dream, exactly.
Okay.
And remember, the face sensors are picking this up.
Gotcha.
Later, that same word.
Okay.
That same word is sent to another lucid dreamer.
A different person.
A completely different person.
Wow.
And then they wake up and they confirm they received it.
No way.
It's really quite remarkable.
So, and they've done this multiple times, right?
They have. They've done this multiple times with different words, with different participants.
And different, like you said, different dates and everything.
Exactly, which is what makes it so compelling.
Okay, so articles mentioned this word Zilak. Do we know what that means in REMio?
Unfortunately, no. That's one of the details they're keeping under wraps.
Oh, come on.
But it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
It really does.
What's the significance of that word?
Right.
Why choose that specific word?
Yeah.
It just adds another layer to the mystery.
It does. It does.
But it does tell us that it wasn't just a pre-programmed response. They use different words, and they're choosing them for a reason. So it does make it, scientifically, much more sound.
Okay, so this is cool. But what's the point? Is this just a party trick? Or are there real applications for this?
I think that's the most exciting part. The potential applications here are really quite vast.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, let's start with mental health.
Okay.
Imagine being able to confront your phobias or process trauma, but in a controlled dream environment.
So wait, instead of like, I don't know, exposure therapy in the real world, you're doing it in a dream.
Exactly. And because you're in a dream state, your subconscious mind might be more open to suggestion.
That's interesting.
More receptive to change.
Right.
And that could lead to much more effective and lasting therapeutic outcomes.
That's fabulous.
And that's just one example. We could even see applications for skill training.
Skill training?
Think about it. Practicing a surgery.
Whoa.
Or learning to fly a plane.
In your sleep.
In a hyper-realistic, consequence-free dream environment.
Okay, so that would change everything.
It could revolutionize the way we learn and train.
Yeah.
And perhaps most importantly, this research could give us unprecedented insights into the human brain.
So we're talking about like...
How does memory work during sleep?
Yeah.
What about learning? And consciousness itself?
Right.
This could unlock so many mysteries.
Yeah. It really makes you think, like, what else don't we know about our own minds?
Right. It's a new frontier of scientific exploration.
Yeah, and it sounds like REMspace.
Yeah.
at the forefront of this.
They're definitely pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
And while their research hasn't been peer-reviewed yet,
Right.
it's important to remember that breakthroughs often happen when someone has a bold idea and they're willing to push the limits.
I mean, look at any scientific discovery, right?
These
Someone had to be the first one to say, what if? Okay, so even if it doesn't pan out exactly as they're saying, this could spark further research, which is huge.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm excited to see where this goes.
Me too.
It's like that saying, we overestimate what we can do in a year,
Yeah.
but underestimate what's possible in a decade.
It's very true, and I think this research is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Who knows where this could lead in 10, 20 years?
It's so...
The possibilities are really quite extraordinary.
Yeah. This is where I have to ask. What are they sending? Is it like a full sentence? A question?
It's actually a single word.
Oh.
A single word that's chosen randomly. And they transmit that through the earbuds using the Remio language.
So they're not trying to have a whole conversation.
Yeah.
It's just one word.
At this stage, it's about that single word.
Yeah.
And seeing if that can be effectively transmitted.
Okay, so how do they know if it worked? Does the dreamer wake up and be like, oh yeah, I heard apple in my dream?
It's more about what happens in the dream.
Okay.
So the dreamer hears this word in their dream, and then they try to say it.
Okay.
And even if they're not consciously aware they're doing it,
Okay.
their brain sends those tiny muscle signals to their face.
Right, because they're hooked up to those sensors.
Exactly. And that's how the system knows they received the word.
Wow, so it's like a closed loop?
It really is.
Word goes in, word comes back out.
Mm.
But the person is totally out of it, dreaming away.
That's the most fascinating part.
And they don't stop there.
Right.
The articles mention sending this word to a second dreamer.
That's right.
So we're talking two different people,
Two different people,
two separate dreams.
potentially in different locations, different time zones.
Whoa, okay. And they send the same word?
The exact same word that the first dreamer repeated.
I'm not going to lie, this is kind of freaking me out.
I understand. But the results are really quite compelling.
Okay, so what happened? Did the second dreamer, did they get the word?
In multiple instances, the second dreamer woke up and confirmed receiving the word.
The exact word.
Not a similar word, the exact word.
That gives me chills.
It is pretty mind-boggling.
It really is. So if they're trying to prove this is real two-way communication, why all the secrecy around this Remio language?
Well, that's a good question.
Like, why not just tell us what Zelak means?
It seems like they're keeping that information confidential.
Okay.
Maybe to protect their research, maybe for future patents.
So it's like a trade secret.
In a way, yes.
Okay, fair enough. But they must have revealed something about how it works.
They have, actually. For example, did you know that a tiny crinkle of the nose could correspond to a specific vowel sound?
No way.
Or a twitch of the cheek might indicate a particular consonant.
So it's like our faces are speaking a language in our dreams.
That's a really interesting way to put it.
And their system is learning to understand that language.
It's like they're creating a dream dictionary, but for facial expression.
Okay, this is all super cool. But let's be real for a second.
All right.
Is this just a cool science experiment? Or are there actual real-world uses for this technology?
I think the potential applications are what's so exciting about this research.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, one area where this could be revolutionary is mental health.
Mental health, okay.
Imagine being able to treat phobias or PTSD.
Okay.
But instead of doing it in the real world,
Right.
you're doing it within a controlled dream environment.
So, like, instead of, I don't know, having to relive a traumatic experience in therapy, you could process it in a dream.
Exactly. But it could be even more powerful than that.
Okay.
Because you're dealing with the subconscious mind.
Right.
It might be possible to actually change the emotional response,
Wow.
to rewire those neural pathways.
So you're not just facing your fears, you're actually overcoming them.
Potentially, yes.
That's incredible. And what about the skill training stuff? Is that really possible?
Well, imagine a surgeon being able to practice a delicate procedure hundreds of times,
Okay.
but it's not in a real operating room.
Right.
It's all happening in a hyper-realistic dream state.
So no risk, no pressure.
Yeah.
They could refine their technique, build muscle memory.
And potentially improve their real-world performance.
That's mind-blowing, and I know we touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
But the implications for understanding the brain are huge, right?
Absolutely. We're talking about unlocking some of the biggest mysteries of consciousness.
Mysteries like what?
Like, how does memory consolidation happen during sleep?
Okay.
What's the role of dreams in learning and emotional processing?
It's like we're on the verge of a whole new understanding of ourselves.
I think we are.
But with all this potential, there have to be some ethical concerns, right?
Of course, whenever you're dealing with something as powerful as dream manipulation,
Right, because we're talking about potentially influencing someone's thoughts, their behaviors.
we have to ask ourselves, where do we draw the line?
Exactly. Like,
Huh?
who gets to decide what messages are sent into someone's dream?
And what if those messages are used for harmful purposes?
That's a scary thought.
It's a possibility we have to consider.
So it sounds like there's a lot more to this than just the cool science.
Absolutely.
There are philosophical, ethical, even societal implications to think about,
This research raises more questions than it answers.
which is pretty exciting when you think about it.
It is. It's a whole new frontier.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. It's been fascinating.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, I'll leave you with this. Tonight, when you drift off to sleep, pay attention to those dreams. You never know what secrets your subconscious mind might reveal.
Sweet dreams, everyone.